Hello, hello, hello. Happy Sunday and welcome to a quick live stream. A little bit of an impromptu show. I set this up about an hour and a half ago. And I don't know who's going to come on because, well, in the UK, it's early on a Sunday morning. Obviously different in the rest of the world. But I wanted to come on and do just a quick show. To talk about in a game, just some final thoughts on in a game, what it is, what it isn't, why you need it, why it's important, and all of that good stuff. And I wanted to make you aware that CAD Academy closes tonight at midnight EST. Okay, so that is midnight in the United States, in New York time. CAD Academy will close at midnight. So in the UK and in Europe, it's a little bit longer, if you like. It's, I think, 5 a.m. in the UK. CAD Academy closes. In Central Europe, it's going to be about 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. But nevertheless, the end is in sight. The course is closing for enrollments soon. And it is likely, I mean, never say never, but it is likely that this will be the last time that we will run CAD Academy because I'm working on something new with James Tusk that we're going to be putting together for next year. And I put together CAD Academy early in 2020, and I'm very proud of the course. It's the deepest course that I've ever created. It's the deepest product, really, that I've ever created because it takes you through that whole inner game transformation from, all right, this is where I am now. This is where I want to be. Okay, how do I get there? And it shows you how to be socially effective, and it shows you how to improve your opportunities in the dating marketplace, as well as just generally in life as well. Because as with all of this stuff, it's not just about dating. Yeah, obviously dating is important, but there are other things in life as well. And this will help you just generally in socializing, because I mean, that's the journey that I took, right? I took this journey from being a chump, not very chump, I mean, that's unfair, but, you know, being somebody who was shy and not very socially calibrated and found it hard to talk to other people. And I broke out of that and I became somebody who's, you know, pretty damn socially effective. Now, it took me a very long time to do that, but I put everything into this course that I learned so that it will take you a fraction of the time. All right. That's the whole point about this. This is a transformational program. Okay. It's not just a sort of a superficial thing. You know, it's very long. There's 10 hours worth of video content. We're going to do 10 Zoom webinars. Okay. So there's a lot of content here. There's a lot of detail. And you're going to learn a lot. All right. But you've only got today to join. And then we close it. And as I say, unlikely we're going to open it again because next year, got a new year coming up soon. And with new year comes new projects, new ideas, new opportunities. And we're going to be working on something different. Okay, so CAD Academy closes tonight. If you want to have a look at the information, that is the website. Have a look at the website. Gives you all the details on the course, the different price points and so on and so forth, different tiers. And you can click through to enroll as well. So it's really just a little bit of a summary because I did that 12 days of in a game series, and then we did a rule zero here yesterday, which was about no, it was about fapping, actually, no fap, not really in a game, I guess kind of in a game related, because again, we were actually talking a lot about addiction and how to handle addiction. So if you guys didn't see rule zero yesterday, it was on my channel again for the second week running. Go and have a look at that because it was a really good conversation, actually, really interesting conversation about when you form those habits, like excessive fapping, like using porn, like using drugs or alcohol. When you form those habits, and then what do you do to get out of that pattern, right? And that, I guess, that is actually an inner game related thing. So we did that, and then today I thought I'd just come on, as I say, and just you know, have a bit quick chat, just have a little bit of a roundup. And yeah, just to make you aware, really, that CAD is closing tonight. Okay, so in a game, what is it? Well, we talked about this last week. Obviously, in summary, for me, in a game is what you have to do internally in order to win. So you've got the external circumstances, which are, okay, there's an attractive lady over there, there's an attractive woman over there, I'd like to go and speak to her, or there's a guy at a networking event over there, I want to go and influence. I want to go and influence positively. I want to go and make that contact. Okay, so how do I do that? What are my tactics going to be? What am I going to say? Blah, 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 blah. You've got all of those external things. You know, how am I going to dress? How am I going to look? What's my body language going to be like? What's my eye contact going to be like? All of these external things. But underpinning all of that is the inner game stuff, okay? And that is, how do I feel about myself? What do I think of myself? Do I think of myself as the prize, or do I think I'm a bit of a waste of space, right? And you've got to think of yourself as the prize. You've got to be prepared to go out there and really sell yourself, okay? But you can't do that unless you've got that fundamental self-esteem. And that's where a lot of us fall down. That's where many guys fall down. And we were talking again about this yesterday. I was talking with Sterling Cooper about this. I was on Sterling Cooper's show last night. Again, go and watch that if you didn't see it. And, you know, we were saying a lot of the guys who come for training with this stuff, it's not so much the external things that's the problem necessarily. Maybe they know the kinds of things that you should say when you're in a social situation, when you're flirting. Maybe they dress well. Maybe they have other aspects of their life sorted out. But if you don't have the inner stuff, if you don't have that inner confidence, if you don't radiate and emanate that inner confidence, that inner aura and glow, and to be honest, a slight cockiness as well, you know, you've got to kind of think you are, or at least you've got to appear as though you think that you are something special. And indeed, you are something special, because we're all special. Okay, we're all special here. Group hug. But no, you've got to think of yourself as being something special. You've got to think of yourself as, I am the prize, or at least I am somebody who is worth getting to know because of X, Y, and Z, these different things. You know, I am more than the sum of my parts. You've got to walk with confidence in the social scene in order to get those positive reactions, okay? And that's what CAD Academy teaches. So when you come onto Tier 2, which is the Zoom webinars, when you join the course with the Zoom webinars, which I would recommend everybody does, then you get more personalized training, because it's a group webinar situation over Zoom. But of course, you can ask me questions. You can present particular challenges that you're facing. It could be about any different area, really. It could be about, okay, I feel like I'm a bit awkward when I'm talking to women. I feel a bit shy. I feel a bit reserved. How do I break through that? It might be something to do with the way, you know, we'll talk about fashion in the course. It could be something to do with the way you dress or your grooming. And obviously, if you've got your camera on, I'll be able to have a look at you. I'll be able to, you know, give you some pointers, some feedback. And also, we'll be bringing other people into those sessions as well. Hopefully, maybe Sterling, Jack Napier, Ryan Stone, you know, just all of these different guys with these different perspectives, okay? So they'll be able to help you as well with their different areas of expertise. So the Zoom webinars on Tier 2 and Tier 3 is really where the action is. There is the Tier 1 option, which is, if you're on a bit of a budget, you can just get the digital course, and that's fine. I mean, there's 10 hours of content in the course. It's very, very comprehensive. It's designed to stand alone. But to be honest, the real magic happens in those Zoom webinars. So that's where you want to be. Simon says Rule Zero has been getting better and better. It has, because it's been on my channel for the last 2 weeks. And I am a good presenter of it, I think. People have said. I have seen comments saying, "Oh, Troy, you're great. You know, you present it really well. You're a good moderator and all that kind of stuff." And I think I'm pretty good. So, yes, it has been really good. Certainly this one about NoFap, I think, was really good. And the one before, which was actually an inner game special, was really, really good as well. But you've got people on the panel, you see, because some of the guys are away. I mean, Rich is taking a sabbatical at the moment. Rollo was away because he was at a funeral. Ryan wasn't in for some reason, and John is obviously kind of on a sabbatical as well. But the guys that we had, you know, we had Paul from Apex Mindset. I mean, he's such a great guy. I mean, he's just got so much knowledge of the psychological side of this stuff, just a wealth of knowledge. We've got Sterling, extremely intelligent dude, very, very sharp, really understands social, how social things fit together, really understands the sexual marketplace very deeply. We had Aaron, who's obviously, a genius, really, Aaron Clary. We had Jack Napier. And it was great. I'm only joking. Jack. Jack obviously brings, a load to the party as well with his insights. Just a great panel, and we really got into some good stuff, I think. I mean, it started off. You can be a bit jokey about these things. You can kind of just take a pot shot at the meme of. I mean, we talked about nofap, but it's not even nofap so much. It's more semen retention. I think that guys. We had an issue with because of the promises that are made about it, which are outlandish and are exaggerated. But we took it from a fairly jokey kind of, let's just poke the bear a bit sort of beginning, and it actually went quite deep and it went quite serious. And we talk about addictions and how to get over addictions. And this is, like I said, this is all part of inner game, right? Because if you do have those issues, if you are compulsively using porn, or you are compulsively masturbating, or you are, using alcohol compulsively, or drugs, or anything really, shopping, gambling, all of these different things, online addiction, games and things as well, then that is going to get in the way of the other stuff, okay? And that is something that you need to resolve. Now, I'm not going to pretend CAD Academy isn't a rehab program, okay? I'm not going to pretend that if you've got some huge addiction problem, CAD Academy is the solution. It's not, right? I mean, I have had my own issues with addiction, so I can certainly talk about that stuff. But CAD Academy isn't, as I say, a rehab program. It's not for that. But we do acknowledge, we do make the point that these underlying issues need to be sorted out. They need to be addressed, as well as things like depression and anxiety. And I obviously did a show about that the other day as well. But in saying that, once you've started to address those issues, you've got a handle on that stuff, then you need to build yourself up, right? And you need to, as I say, sort out the inner game. You need to sort out your inner confidence, bring yourself up, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, as we used to say, and bring yourself up. And then it's how you present yourself as well. How do you present to the world, right? And that is what we teach in CAD Academy. And this stuff, right, this is the important stuff. This is the important stuff. That it's all very well. I mean, I was saying yesterday to Sterling, what is game these days anyway? I mean, game is obviously gets a very, very bad name. Men's dating advice in general gets a very bad rap, and sometimes some of the criticism's fair enough. Other times it's exaggerated and it's somewhat unfair. But really, what the advice boils down to now is put your best foot forward, go and approach and say hello, and get a vibe of whether she's interested or not. If she's not interested, fine, no harm done. You walk away. It's pretty simple, really. We're not preaching, or certainly the people I work with, we're not talking about, here are these really crazy lines, or these are these really complex things that you can do. It's not really about that. It's about being authentically yourself, putting your best foot forward, stepping forward to somebody that you find attractive, introducing yourself, and then letting the chips fall where they may. Really, it's not about manipulation. It's not about, just say these 10 things and it's all going to be amazing. It's not about that anymore. If it ever was, I don't really believe that it ever was, but it certainly isn't now, right? You've got to be authentic. You've got to be your true self, and you've got to just be responsible, really, and accept the outcome, whatever the outcome may be. And rejection is a common outcome, right? Because you're not going to be right for everybody. Equally, not everybody's going to be right for you. Rejection is protection, as they say sometimes. Rejection is not always the worst thing in the world, because maybe that person wasn't right for you anyway. Okay, even for a short-term basis. So, that being said, the inner stuff is more important than ever, because the outer stuff, you're not doing anything complicated with the outer stuff that gives you a pass so you don't have to sort out the inner stuff, if that makes sense. It's not like, okay, just follow this template and you can just ignore the inner stuff. You could ignore your self-esteem and how you feel about yourself and also your inherent value, because I've got these 6 great tricks that I can use. Because that doesn't work. Nobody's saying that anymore, if they ever were. So you've got to have the inner stuff sorted out, because when you approach, when you walk into the bar or the social situation or the party or whatever, what are you emanating? What are you putting forth? Okay. Because that's what's going to make you attractive. It's that inner sense of yourself plus the way that you display that to the world that's going to make you attractive. And this is, again, is precisely, watch the interview with Sterling Cooper last night, if you haven't seen it, on his channel that I did. We had a really good conversation about this. We really broke it down and went deep into this idea. What is it that makes somebody attractive, particularly in a social setting? And let's face it, with dating, most people get together, they first meet in some kind of a social situation, whether it's at a party or in a bar or in a nightclub or in a lounge or, you know, whatever it is, or an airport lounge maybe, or like a coffee shop. It's a social setting, okay? So you've got to be very, very cognizant of how you appear and how you perform, because this is an element of performance, how you perform in that social setting, all right? All right, anybody's got any questions, any comments, put them into the chat. We're not going to run for very long today, because I've got to go somewhere. Got to see a man about a dog. But if anybody has questions, if anybody has comments, put them in the chat. Watching Strauss do live demonstrations of the cube shows women love stuff like that. It captivates them. It seems you have to also be a person with a story besides in a game. Well, yeah, you do. I mean, you have to have something to say. That is true. You have to have something to say. You can't just turn up and just sit there and like, hey, here's the inner game. You know, that is true. I mean, things like the cube, I don't really. It's a little bit gamey. It's a bit gimmicky. But yes, you've got to have something to say. That's true. And in saying all of this about inner game, there is a very long section in CAD Academy about outer game. There is a long section about techniques. You know, what are the kinds of things you should say? What should you talk about, etc. So we do cover that. We do cover that in the course. All I'm saying is that I think the other part of it gets neglected because guys think, oh, okay, I'll just learn the cube, or I'll just learn strawberry fields, or you know, whatever, or palm reading or something, and that's gonna just get me to the goal. And that's not true either. Because if you're some dorky guy, you know, with low self-esteem who looks like a bucket of crap, just because you can do the cube, it is not gonna, you know, it's just not gonna get you anywhere. Not in today's world, right? It just isn't, and I don't believe it ever would, really. You've got to be bringing value as well. It's a value exchange. Have you got value? And value, obviously, you create value by doing the work, right? That's the Rich Cooper thing. Do the work. Become the, you know, the world-class alpha and everything. Now, we're all work in progress. I mean, Jesus, I certainly am, right? You know, I'm not Rich Cooper by any means. But you've got to be working on that stuff on the one hand, but then there's also the other. And again, this is what I talked about with Sterling last night. It's like, how is value? What is value in a social setting? Well, yes, if you're wealthy and you've done well in business or something, that is one indicator of success. But it's also about how you put yourself across in the social setting. Okay. And that really is about self-belief. And self-belief isn't solely, it's not predicated on your wealth or the money you've made or things like this. It comes internally, right? Because there are plenty of guys who are millionaires who are shy and self-deprecating and have low self-esteem. Okay, so the inner stuff is very, very important, and without it, the outer stuff, including things and routines and things like the cube and stuff like that, you know, it's going to fall flat. I've seen it happen. My country's gone into lockdown again, even with 90% fully vaccinated. What to do? Date venues are closed. Was just starting to build some momentum. I work a 9 to 5, so can't travel. Well, it's tricky, isn't it? It's tricky. Well, I don't know what country you're in. I mean, when it was in lockdown here, we were having to do dates in parks and things like that. It's difficult. There aren't easy answers to this kind of thing. You know, you can't travel. Okay, is there a way to work remotely? Probably not, from the way that you talked about the 9 to 5. This is why, really, you know, we all need to be looking at ways to become mobile, because the world has changed. We are now living in a world where lockdowns are a possibility. You know, they are sort of the default now. It's in a situation where there's you know, where there's a virus or there's an infection. You know, lockdowns seem now to be, oh, we'll do another one of those lockdowns. That seems to be the default. Whereas 2 years ago, that was, nobody had ever thought of that. You know, no, it was inconceivable. And now it's not just conceivable. It is, oh, that's just the thing that we do. With that in mind, I would say that it makes sense for people to think, okay, well, you know, maybe it's going to take me some time. Maybe it's going to be a bit, you know, it's not going to be necessarily easy, but is there a way I can become a bit mobile? Because I don't really want to get stuck in a lockdown, you know, because of my job. So it might be a longer term project, I'm afraid, but I would think about trying to become mobile and trying to find ways that you're not necessarily tied down to one place. Jack Napier is here. Good to see you, Jack. I have so much work to do. I've gone through my whole life being told, just be yourself, focus on being her friend first, etc. Yeah, I mean, you know, there's a lot to work through, definitely, but it's all doable. It's all doable. Will you be heading to warmer climes this winter? I don't know if you're talking to me, Ian, but yes, because we're going to be in Mexico over Christmas and New Year, and we do have an event in Mexico over New Year from the 27th of December to the 2nd of January in Playa del Carmen and Tulum. We're going to be doing a training event over there. So if anybody's, it's going to sell out, but if anybody's interested in that, then drop me a line, troy@realtroyfrancis.com, and we can talk about it. And yes, I mean, Andrew Tate talks too about being mobile. He does, and they talk about it on a very advanced level because they're talking about having multiple passports and, you know, money in different bank accounts and all that kind of stuff. And yes, absolutely. That's kind of what the war room is about now. What his war room is about now is that it's having that global network. It's having that mobility so you can move around, and it makes a lot of sense. So you can look at their content, or, you know, I mean, I'm doing it on a slightly more, I mean, fundamentally, if you are somebody you can make money online in some shape or form, then you are mobile. Okay. So I haven't got multiple passports. I do actually have a residency for a different country than the UK, which is nice. But because I make my money remotely, you know, I make money online, then it doesn't matter geographically where I am much. You know, maybe time zones come into it, but it doesn't really matter very much. So I have the luxury of not having to sit around and go, oh damn, we're gonna go into a lockdown again. I'm just gonna have to sit this one out, you know. But that is a position that I've worked to get into, because I wanted to have that mobility. All right. And now, with what's happened over the last couple of years, it makes even more sense than it did before. So I think it's something you've got to, I mean, just think about it. It's something to think about. It's something to maybe work towards. I know it's not for everybody. I know it's not easy. You know, you can't just, I mean, it wasn't easy for me. It's still not easy, you know. I mean, self-employment it brings its own challenges, for sure. But, you know, the way the world is now, and let's face it, you know, corporate jobs aren't particularly safe. Corporate jobs aren't particularly stable either. It's something to think about, okay? But if you're going into a lockdown and so on, that I don't think, unfortunately, I wish there was an easy answer. You know, I wish I could say, well, you just do these 3 things and it'll be fine. But it's very difficult. It's very, very difficult. As I say, we were doing doing outdoor dates and things like that, walking in the park, buying a coffee, walk around in the park, stuff like that. But, you know, it's getting colder now. Not ideal. Not ideal. How many approaches in a day is too many? Did 75 sets and found myself irritated by the end of it. Mate, I mean, come on, man. I'm close to smashing someone's skull in. Man, come on. Come on. Don't post stuff like that. Don't post stuff like that on here. You know, if you are feeling that angry, then you need, maybe there's some underlying issues. Maybe you need to get that sorted out, man. I don't know. Maybe you need to talk to somebody. You shouldn't be feeling like that. Now, is there too many? I mean, 75, you must live somewhere that's very populous. 75 is a lot. I would say, look, the fact that you wrote that comment, I don't mean to be rude or call you out or anything, but maybe you need to have a think about that anger, that frustration, and maybe, you know, go and speak to someone about it, because it's not right, really, that you should be feeling like that or really saying things like that, you know? Any progress on interview with Caleb Jones? I think, yeah. You could produce a curriculum for dating, expand your content into the mainstream. Is that something you've considered? i.e. training dating coaches? Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I don't know. The problem really is that mainstream dating content is pretty boring, really. And I don't think that I'm saying anything really that's particularly outrageous. I think my content is quite vanilla in some ways. I mean, you know, I'm not the most hardcore of people really at all. I mean, I'm just basically saying I'm not a PUA. I'm not a, you know, a game person really. All I'm saying is make yourself the best you can be. Go and speak to people. Try to create a favorable impression and sort of see what happens, and travel around while you're doing it. I mean, that's kind of what it boils down to. But mainstream dating advice is pretty boring, really, to be honest. The stuff that I see anyway. It's you just end up saying very formulaic things. What does CAD stand for? Charisma and Dating Academy. I'd like to get to where I could make 6 or even 7 figures, man, and make that income mobility, and maybe expatriate to the Philippines and Indonesia. Well, I mean, if you're making 7 figures and you're in one of those places, you're going to be laughing. Moderation in all things. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I deserve more views for everything, really. But there you go. Life is hard. Life is tough. What can you do? I also think my channel is a bit throttled. So there's that as well. But, you know, what can you do? You don't need to be the biggest in the world. You don't need to be fresh and fit, right? You know, and they're great. They're great at what they do. They have a great channel, but you don't need to be that big, right? You know, and this is the other thing about online business, working for yourself and stuff like that. 1,000 true fans. If you read the article, 1,000 true fans, the argument in the article is, you know, you've got 1,000 people who really like you, who really buy into your stuff. You can make a great income from that. You don't need to have millions of people. And actually, personally, I quite like being. I think I'm, you know, I am a bit of a niche content creator. I think I'm not going to appeal to everybody. I appeal to certain people a lot, and other people don't appeal at all. And that's fine. You know, I'd rather have it like that, because otherwise you become, the thing with becoming mainstream is also sort of synonymous with watering down. And that's not really what I want to do. Well, the UK is looking better at the moment. is all I can say. But of course, yes, you're right. We don't know what will happen. I mean, the UK is certainly looking better at the moment. But I couldn't say if the UK is a safe bet or not. It might be worth looking into. Right now, everything's open and it's all great, but there are always these murmurings, and I believe the infections are falling here as well, and so on, and cases and things. But yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a crapshoot at the moment, really. Unfortunately, you just don't know what's around the corner. You don't know what's going to happen. But there is certainly a lot of resistance, within. I mean, I don't think Boris really wants to lock down again, and a lot of the Conservative Party don't really like lockdowns. They don't really want to lock down. So it's not a bad bet over here, but I don't know. Yes, it is. Cool. Okay. Well, look, we've been on for nearly 30 minutes now, which is about what I was going to do. So if you've got another question or comment, whack it in the chat. But basically, what I wanted to come on and say is that CAD Academy closes tonight at midnight EST, which is 5 a.m. in the UK and 6 a.m. in a lot of Europe on Monday morning. But it closes basically tonight in a few hours' time. So if you haven't joined, then check out this link and it will give you all the information that you need on the course. And you've got links to join the course there. There's 3 different tiers. So you've got the basic tier 1, which is just £197. You get the online course, 10 hours worth of content. You've got tier 2, which also includes 10 Zoom webinars that are going to be taking place this month with me live in a Zoom call, so we can be candid and give you some direct feedback on your particular challenges and stuff. That's only £497. And then there's tier 3, if you're a baller, and you really, well, you're not really a baller, because let's face it, I mean, really, it's £1,091. You get 2 months worth of WhatsApp training with me on top of the course and the Zoom webinars. Really, it's cheap, because you wouldn't get a weekend with me for that if we're talking about live training, but you get 2 months of a couple of calls a month, plus unlimited, within reason, unlimited WhatsApp messages. I'm your WhatsApp wingman, okay, for 2 months. It's a great deal. That is going to sell out. There's only 10 places on that, and most of them have gone already. So if you want that, I would ask you to recommend, rather, that you do take action now, really. But yeah, we're closing tonight, and then that's going to be it. And it is unlikely that we'll open CAD again, because I've done it. We opened it several times last year. I've only opened it the one time this year because I did another course. But next year we're going to be doing some different stuff. Jack Napier says, guys, if you're stuck in your life, CAD Academy is worth it. Thanks, Jack. And he says, Troy knows his stuff. He's been through the trenches and shares all the knowledge he has in CAD Academy. That's true. King Cole says, agree. Good to see you, Cole. That is true. Basically, CAD Academy contains everything that I've learned over the last couple of decades about in a game, about dating, about confidence, about mindsets, all of that stuff. Okay, it's all in there. So I'm very proud of it. I believe it's a very valuable course. It's a transformative course. It's going to take you from zero to hero, or your own version of hero, let's say. We're not all going to be Andrew Tate. We're not all going to be Donald Trump or whatever, right? Maybe we don't want to be. But you become your own archetype. You become your own hero, okay? And that's a process that takes place, a transformational process that takes place within CAD Academy. So go and check it out. Links in the chat. Link will be in the description below. And in the first comment below. Join me in CAD Academy, and have a great rest of the Sunday, great rest of the weekend, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye.